Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast of Talk2Rami. This is Rami, your host. Today is a great day for me because I'm sitting here with an amazing person. He's not only a friend, but entrepreneur, visionary, and optimist. And his name is Terry Blachek. Terry, welcome to the studio, my man.
Thank you. It's great to be here, and it's great for you to do the talking instead of me today.
I'm a big fan of your podcast. I've been listening to it, and you recently started your podcast, and you've been doing great. And I learned so much from you during the past years that we've been friends. But today, tomorrow is a New Year's Eve. Is that right?
That's
And
correct. Yeah.
I am grateful that I got you here. Because you are very hard to catch. And this is a really pleasure to sit with you here and talk about you and what you have done. Because I listened to your stories. You basically went from the zero to hero and helped so many people along the way. And my question for you is that what was the lowest point of your life and how you dealt with it? And then what made you moving toward today?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for those kind words. I appreciate it. I think you're talking about Tuesdays with Terry
Absolutely.
as my podcast. You can find that at tuesdayswithterry.com for all of your listeners. And they're short, too, by the way. They're only like 10, 12 minutes max.
That's the
They're all
beauty of
little
it.
snippets. But in any case, listen, you said when was the lowest point in my life? And, I probably have 3 or 4 things that immediately come to mind, right? So some of those have been professionally and some of those are personally. I think on a personal basis, when my brother passed away, he was killed tragically in a heavy equipment accident. I think that was kind of a low time. I probably didn't deal with it at the time because I was trying to be strong for my family, but that was probably a tough time for me. It was back in 2003, 2004. I've been, not proud of this, but I've had a couple different marriages, and I think every time I go through a divorce, those are difficult, whether you're on the giving or the receiving end of that. And for anybody out there that's going through a divorce or having problems with your relationship, I can tell you that it does get better. I can tell you that it's a process. It just takes time. So don't think that things are ending in your life when that happens. It's a process, and you'll get through it, and it does get better on the other side. And fortunately, I was able to find a beautiful woman, and my third marriage has been great, and I'm very happy and thankful for that. But divorce has been a tough time for me. I think professionally, I had a business, I'll call it a business divorce in Tampa, and I had I didn't have enough money when I started out in Orangetheory Fitness, and got at odds with a partner, and for a variety of reasons. And he owned the majority of the business. I did not, and so he unilaterally, removed me from the operations. And I basically felt like everything that I had built in the 4 years that I had been starting Orangetheory Fitness had been lost, and was trying to get started again. And I can remember the time I went out, it was in an attorney's office, and we were going through mediation, and, I had my attorney present and he had his attorney, and, there were a lot of threats and there were a lot of different things that were happening, but I ran out in the hallway of the attorney's office and just sat down in the hallway and started crying because I felt like I had poured everything in. You don't know the whole story, but the whole story is 4 years earlier, I had liquidated my entire savings. I had liquidated my entire investment. I had liquidated my 401k, and I had put everything that I had into this business.
And you lost it all.
Yeah. And it was just a bad thing, right? So I felt like that was a low point for me. Listen, I've also, we talk about a low point, but I've had just to disclose this, I've had a DUI, and not proud of that either. But when you go through that process, that's a bad. Those are low points in my life. Those are difficult times. Those are low points. And what's interesting, you talk about those spots, is nobody ever really wants to talk to me about those.
Yep.
Everybody wants to talk to me about my success and how that's worked out or what's happened. But any case, there's a handful of low points. I mean,
That's
without getting into all of the dirty details of it, but there's certainly low points in my life.
I go back to what you said because you said nobody wants to talk about the low points. I think that will open this question about can we be vulnerable? Because I think if you are vulnerable, that's the key to success. Some people they don't want to be vulnerable. What do you think about that? Like, you basically open up yourself, and you don't have anything to hide and say, this is who I am and this is what I have done and this is where I'm going.
I think, listen, I think vulnerability is a lot easier when you're successful because you have the stability of success. You have, things you can fall back on. When you're going through those moments, you don't want to talk to anybody about it. You don't want to share that with anybody. And even after that, I mean, it's been a long time. There's things in my life I just don't like to talk about or like to share because it probably opens up old wounds for me. And, they still probably hurt. I probably have some hurt and pain along with that. But I think, over time, and listen, I'll open to share this too, and I say this to a lot of folks, man. If you're going through a tough time in your life, go talk to somebody, man. A lot of people say, well, I couldn't get counseling. I couldn't get help. I would never do that. Man, there have been 3 times in my life when I've gone out and gotten counseling, gotten therapy, talked to somebody. It's really just getting an objective person to share some things that are going on in your life and an outside opinion. What happens? You try to share some of those things with your closest friend and they've got their opinion and they got their opinion through their glasses and they know you. And you try to share some of that with your family and well, they've got their opinion and they know you. And everybody's got an opinion about it, but it's always, and it's because of their relationship with you. But if you can go get somebody that has an objective opinion that isn't tied emotionally to you, and you can share some of that, you're really getting a pure, clean, unadulterated, objective opinion about the situation. And these guys are experts. When you want to go get your taxes done, you go to an expert. You want to go get in shape, you go to an expert. When you want to build a house, you go to an expert. Listen, man, you got some issues that you're trying to deal with in your life. Why don't you go to an expert?
I love what you said, but I have seen the people, they stop doing that because they are afraid of others people's judgment. And you know it. People, they judge us. And you always talk about that. Forget about who is going to say whatever about you, and they're going to judge you no matter what. What do you think about that?
Well, what other people think about you is not your concern. I mean, we say it is, and it's unfortunate that people judge you. I mean, people judge you the moment they see you, right? 8 seconds, and the way you look, the way you dress, how you stand, all those pieces, we're getting judged all the time. And I probably do it, to other people as well, and we've heard it all of our lives. Don't judge a book by its cover. I'll use a quick story in the fitness business. I did a presentation when I was in sales to a guy and he walked in and none of the others, there were 6 or 8 salespeople and nobody else wanted to talk to this guy because when he walked in, he looked like an old farmer. He looked, old beat up jeans and he wasn't shaved and had an old hat on and it didn't look like he could, afford it. And, that's one of the things about selling. Can somebody afford, your product or your service? And the reality is nobody wanted to take that guy around and I actually did. And I showed him around and he was very interested and he had never worked out before, but he was interested in doing something for himself. And, when it came time for the membership was about $1,200, for the year. And I forget what the enrollment fee was, but he actually reached in his pocket and pulled out the cash and paid me in cash and put it on the membership and started his membership. And I made a sale that day. And that was the day that I remember, don't judge a book by its cover, because I judged him when he walked in. Everybody else judged him, but the guy certainly had the wherewithal and the capability to purchase the membership. So your question about what other people think of you is it important? Yeah, sometimes it's important because, other people open up doors for you, particularly in jobs or when you're applying for work, or, your reputation is certainly important. So it is important what your reputation is, and it is important what people say, but probably not to the degree that we put into that. In other words, we probably overestimate what that is, and maybe what it really is.
You are, as I said earlier, you are not only an entrepreneur, but you are a very unique entrepreneur that you care about creating values for people. Like I think one of your main goals in life, as I was listening to your Tuesdays with Terry podcast, is you always want to give and create value and added value to people's life. That's I think who you are, and why you do that. What is in it for Terry?
I, I think it's intrinsically who I am. Uh, I'm just somebody that I think I am anyway. I guess I would define myself as somebody that wants to help, right? So, when I think about them, and a lot of people don't know this, I started out my career as a school teacher, right? And so, first 4 years, as soon as I got out of college, I was a school teacher before I got into sales and fitness and business. But, I think I'm a teacher at heart. I think I love to teach people. And I've been talking a lot recently, the last 30 days about legacy, right? I'm getting a little older. I just had my 61st birthday. So I'm thinking about legacy, and I'm thinking about what is it that Terry wants to be known for, and what is it that Terry wants to be left behind with. I've been playing around with a few things, and what are my thoughts around that? But one of the things I think that I want to leave as a legacy is I want people to look back and say, Terry really created other leaders. Terry created and helped other people out. I mean, I really learned a lot from him. If you ask me what I want other people to say, is I want people to know that, you can learn, you have things to learn. I mean, and the interesting thing is we all do. I do, you do. We're not, when I was 30 years old, I thought I knew everything, I was going to my career at 35. I thought, man, I was in New York City. I thought I knew a lot. And then at 40, I thought I learned a lot. I really knew a lot. And then at 50, I thought, man, look at all the things I didn't know when I was 30 and 40. And now I'm 60 and I go, man, I'm still learning, right? And I think, it's cliche, but learning is never over for a true professional. I think I always seek to learn, and I always try to help other people learn as well. My legacy is creating and helping other people learn, grow, living up to their potential, being the best they can be, and creating leaders.
Yeah, so far with what I have seen, you are on your way to creating that legacy with everything that I've seen during your career, your life, and your personal life. But we go into 2022, and as you are a great businessman, a lot of people are afraid, because as you said, the COVID that you talk about, COVID, how we're gonna deal with it, how we're gonna go into 2020 with as you are optimistic, with like a with a with a positive mind. Well, what can we do? That it's not an easy thing to do, honest with you.
Well, life is not easy, right? And achieving things is not easy. And I tell the story of sitting in a room with 25 other CEOs, and I pitched them on a concept of Orangetheory Fitness before it was ever even reality. And they all said, Terry, don't do it. It'll never work. It's not sticky enough. And whatever you do, don't put your own money in it. And, I tell that story as much as I can because, there's going to be people in life that tell you, no, you can't work. It'll never work. Don't do it. There are people in life that say it can't be done. There are people in life that say you shouldn't, you couldn't, and then you say you didn't, and you didn't, and we can live our lives in that world of, wishing that we did things, or we can live our lives and pressing forward. And I've always tried to live my life, and maybe to a fault, of I try things. I try new things in marketing. I try new things in business. I'm willing to give it a shot. And I don't go into it expecting that everything is absolutely going to work out perfectly, because that's not life. My life is not perfect. Your life isn't perfect.
Absolutely.
If we looked at our lives when we got out of high school and said, what is my life going to look like? We all have this vision, this dream, this hope of what our life is going to be like. And the truth is, it's never packaged the way we thought. I'm not saying it's worse, or I'm not saying it's better, but it's just packaged differently. And I think, knowing that success is not a straight line, there's ups, there's downs, knowing that life is not a straight line, there's ups, there's downs, there's success, there's adversity, there's happiness, there's sadness. That's life, brother. That's how we live. That's how we live. And sorry to just go on with this, but if I waited, there's a saying that says, if you wait until all the lights are green before you head into town, you're going to spend the rest of your life right there at home. And I've never done that. I've never waited till everything is exactly right. The quickest way to win a race is to start running. I don't have to get the right shoes and get the right tracksuit and get the right shorts and get the right training. I just start going, right? And I think my own personal philosophy is let's get started. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exact. Let's just get started. I think that's with anything in life, by the way. I think that's with your workout. I think that's with your life in general. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, I have a friend. He always says that. Hey, I said, did you do this? He said, I'm waiting for the right moment. And this is, I hear it a lot. I'm waiting for the right moment, as you said, the right moment, and not gonna come. Yeah. You just gotta go with it and take risk. But there's a different. I know you take a rather risk in business. Is a calculated risk or just do that? What is that? Like, what is your definition of taking a risk?
Listen, I probably take fewer risk as I get older. I'm taking fewer risk, right? I have less time to screw up and lose it all. So I don't want to do that. So I'm probably more cautious today at 60 than I was, 20 years ago or 30 years ago. But I think that's life. I think more people are more cautious as they get older. I think today, and I talk about this, you need to get, an advisory board, a personal advisory board. Get 4 or 5 people, that have expertise in areas that you're trying to accomplish that you haven't done. They've been down that road before. A guy for me has been David Hardy, a good friend of mine, a good pal of mine. Started out on a round table together, but became a friend, did business, worked together, put a partnership together. And, we're doing Orangetheory Fitness. He's doing Orangetheory. I'm doing Orangetheory. But, I looked for a mentor that had been down the road, that had built the business, sold the business, gotten involved with private equity. And I used him as a mentor for me to do that. I've used my attorneys as mentors. I've used my accountants as mentors. I've used other business people that have already done it. And I can't tell you how important that is in your own personal life to find those people that have been down the road. So you're not just taking a shot in the dark. You're talking, getting counsel from mentors or teachers that have already done it, have already had proven success. And I think, you asked me, why am I doing my podcast? But I have had success, and I've also had failure. Yep. And if I can help somebody out there, get down that path a little bit easier and make their life a little bit better, that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, I definitely know that you're helping a lot of people with your podcast. But one more thing that I really like what you say is audit your circle and surround yourself with the people that they value you and they believe in you. How did you do that? Is there any process? Is there anything that people, they can say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, step 1?
Yeah, well, when I was doing it, I didn't know I was doing it, right? So the first thing I did was I networked myself, right? So one of the first things I think, if you're in a business, or it could be something personal, you've got to get around some other people that have the same goals, dreams, desires, like-minded people. Get around those folks and start just by bouncing ideas off of those people. Then increase that network, or increase the expertise of that network, and join a roundtable or join a YPO. Join a small group within your city or your town where there are other professionals getting together that you can bounce these ideas off. Could be a social group, could be a mom's stroller group,
Yeah.
You want to deal, I've got problems dealing with my kids. Oh, let me talk to a couple other moms. What are they doing? Get some ideas. Just start soliciting ideas. And I think that one of the biggest, things is you don't know it all.
Absolutely
And
right.
I think people believe in their heads that they're expected to know it all. I was talking with my niece about parenting over the Christmas holiday, and there's nobody knows it all about parenting. I certainly didn't when I was parenting my daughter. And if you're a young parent, you don't have it all figured out. And the problem with that is we don't figure it out until after we go through it, and then it's already past us, right? When you're a parent. And I would just say that's true in life. We think that we're expected to know everything about everything and make every decision correct. That's absolutely not the truth. And anybody that's holding you to that standard, change that person, because You don't. And the truth is, even today in my work, as successful as I am, as successful as my executive team is, my executive team doesn't know everything. I don't know everything. We're still looking for people to help us out and expertise in those areas. So it doesn't matter where you are in your life, you're not going to know it all. So don't hold yourself to that standard, and be able to go to somebody and say, hey, I don't really know. And the way that I do that, just so you know, is I ask, the way I try to do it I'll call it a sophisticated way. If I don't know something, I'll go to someone and I say, hey, I'm not really familiar with that. Could you educate me on that? That's how I say. I say, hey, could you educate me on that? What does that mean? If I don't know what a word means, or I don't know what a term is, or I don't know a process, I'll say, educate me on that. I want to be an educated person. Don't you?
Yes.
So let's ask people to educate us. There's nothing wrong with that. That's probably a little bit different than saying, I don't know what that means. I don't know about that. What is that? So just ask people to educate you. Everybody wants to be educated, and people are happy
to help. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, successful people love talking about their success.
Yeah.
And you know that. And so many times what you can do is you can take an idea and say, hey, I've got an idea and I wanted to get your thought. What do you think of this? And give that to a successful person, and they'll be happy to tell you their opinion. They typically throw their opinions out there quite a bit.
That's a great way to learn. Be honest with you, when you don't know something, go and ask. I always do that. If I don't know something, I go to that person, as you said, and I ask. I really need to know about this. But you are a great storyteller. I know that, and I was listening to your stories in your podcast. What is your best stories of your life?
Of my life, or stories that I tell. I learned when I was a kid. My mom made me memorize Bible verses and stand up in church, and I used to have to recite Bible verses. And for a young age, I was just really good. My memory was really developed, and I think I remember relatively well from a lot of things. But so I can hear a story and I can remember that. I have jokes. I remember jokes. Everybody can't understand how I remember jokes so well, but I remember a lot of jokes. So my memory, I've read a couple of books on memory power and how to improve your memory. But I think if you're going to be a good storyteller, you need to remember good stories, and you need to think about what is a good story. Remember, in every story, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end to that story. And that's true in life. Everything in life, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and an end. It could be a job, beginning, middle, and end. It could be a relationship, beginning, middle, and end. It could be life itself. There's birth, there's your life, and there's an ending to that. There's going to be an ending to that. So I think good storytellers understand those pieces, beginning, the middle, and the end. And then I think as you tell that story, you think about, how to make it better. I think voice inflection in stories. I think about adjectives that describe, and emotions, I think are all part of storytelling. But
yeah, we all have the stories, and it always says that every person, has a story, to tell.
Yeah. Well, your story is the story of you.
Yep.
And the things that happen. And, again, I say this all the time, too, because I do a lot of public speaking, but people don't remember what I say as much as they remember the stories that I tell.
Absolutely.
I told the story. I think I told it on one of my podcasts about the lobster bisque, but I told that to a group of regional fitness and salespeople that I had. And, they always come back and they say, oh, that was a lobster bisque. They tell me about the lobster bisque story, but they, and then when they remember the story, then they remember the points in the story, and the points are really what you wanted to talk about anyway. So,
but I know with Tuesday with Terry, you have a lot of stuff going on. What is in the horizon for Tuesday with Terry? I don't want to spoil it, but I think I heard that you're working a couple of books. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm not trying. I'm actually writing a book. And Tuesday with Terry is a podcast. It's been going for about 6 months. I'm in the process of writing a book. I'm in the process of putting some other materials together that I can put on a website. And again, as Orangetheory, continues to thrive and go on, it's always going to go on. I'm also starting to branch out in a couple of other things, and I wouldn't mind, getting my book published. I think that's in the immediate future.
I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, I think I want to get on a speaking circuit. I've done a lot of public speaking. I've been rated as one of the top speakers for the URSA conference, which is an industry conference. So I enjoy it. I like it. I like an audience. I told you I might be an actor someday.
You definitely could be a good actor.
Yeah, but anyway, I enjoy that kind of stuff, and it's kind of
And
what the future is.
I know you are busy and you got to go, but I have my last question. Who is your hero?
Yeah, I don't know that I have a hero. I know that I have a lot of great mentors. And I guess maybe those would be my heroes through my life. I learned a ton from my parents in terms of work ethic. If you ask me what did I bring from what I learned at home to what I do today, I would tell you my work ethic is something that my parents instilled in me. So my parents certainly were mentors of mine early on. I think that, I had a guy that I worked with Hilton Hotels and created a 5-diamond hotel. His name was Eric Long. He was a great mentor for me in terms of an eye for detail. I think that, Dave Hardy, I mentioned him before. He's been an incredible mentor for me, and certainly a guy that has taken me down a path and helped me out down the path in business. So, listen, I've got mentors down there. I don't have one person iconically that sticks out in front of my mind, that said, man, that's the guy. But I would say, if there was one, I would tell you, Walt Disney would be a pretty good hero for me. I just think he did so much for people, both for families, for people that he worked with, and just created something legendary, right? And created a great legacy behind him. So it might sound cliche, but why not go for something big, right?
Yep, absolutely. Do you have any message for my listeners that they're gonna go listen to Tuesdays with Terry? What they're gonna learn?
I think you're gonna find. I talk about 4 things in specifics. I talk about number 1 is self-empowerment, how to believe in yourself, how to set yourself up, how to design and create your best life.
We all
I talk
need
a lot.
that.
I talk a lot about self-empowerment. I talk a lot about leadership and building teams and how to build teams and how to communicate and care for teams. I talk a lot about sales and marketing because that's kind of a core, fundamental for me. I've done a lot of that. And then I talk a lot about entrepreneurship and building businesses and how do you start a business? How do you build a business? How do you take something from a dream or a desire or an idea and turn it into a reality?
That's great. Pieces. That's great, Terry. I really appreciate it with your tight schedule. You were here. It's an honor, man, my friend, to be here. And
well, as I finish up all of my podcast, I would say this. Thank you so much. My name's Terry, and I'm your friend.
Your friend. I love it. I love it. You have a wonderful day and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you.